And we welcome you back. You know, the Olympics is one of those places where judging success isn't terribly complicated. All you need to do is look for somebody with medals hanging around their neck. It's the why which can be a little bit more thorny. To help us break down that issue, talk about it, we welcome to our studio Tom Farrey of the Aspen Institute. He's the Director of Sports and Society, the program there, as well as Andreas Smith of the Norwegian Broadcasting Company, which I have to mention, of course, is NBC. Tom, let's talk about, first of all, what exactly is it that you do?
So we basically mobilize stakeholders to build a better sports system in the United States, one in which every kid has the opportunity to play sports, regardless of zip code or ability. So we help organizations from leagues to shoe companies on down the line figure out their role in moving toward this model that makes sport more accessible to more kids.
Who are your stakeholders?
I mean, stakeholders are starting parents, kids, you know, communities in general, corporations that want to sell things.
The IOC.
The IOC, I mean, the U.S. Olympic Committee. Anybody who has an interest in building healthy children and developing athletes for life has a role in the conversation that we're facilitating.
All right, we're going to talk about the benchmarks for success in a minute, but while we're talking about the benchmarks for success, Andreas, I can't imagine what's going on back in Norway. 33 medals, 13 of them gold, at the close of business on day 12 in your sites, or at least in Norway's sites, the all-time record of 37, which the United States earned in Vancouver. What's the mood back home?
Well, as a broadcaster, I can say we need more airtime. I mean, it's unbelievable.
We always say that.
The success is unbelievable. And looking at the list of medalists, we cannot believe it. It's incredible.
Tom, what's going on in Norway? I want to get your thoughts on this.
Well,
first.
you know, it's fascinating. I've been doing a lot of research on it. I think they arguably have the best sports system in the world. You know, they weren't always a good nation, Olympic nation, even the Winter Games. Back in 1988, they had 0 golds, a total of 5 medals, and they basically, as Andreas knows, they sort of had this national panic and said, we need to come up with a better sports system. And so they completely reconceptualized how they're going to introduce children to sports, even to the point where they, you know, they no longer keep scores up through age 13 in that country because they want to make it a sort of a development zone where every kid is focused on personal, you know, personal growth and opportunity as opposed to, you know, pushing aside the kids who are maybe the B and the C players.
Andreas, you remember when this happened back home and kind of the change in national attitude?
Yeah, I mean, one of the sports we do really good in here is cross-country skiing, and not doing well in cross-country skiing for Norway is a national tragedy. So when we came home from Calgary '88 with no goals, we had 6 years, and then our own games at Lillehammer coming up, and something had to be done, and it was turned around like this. So I remember that very well, and this culture has been kept since that time.
Now, every day we come to work and we walk past the door of the company that's broadcasting the Olympics back home to Norway, and we are confronted with a visual reminder of how successful Norway has been. This is the sign on the door. Every day, it seems they had another medal or 2. It's actually been a lot of fun to watch. Tom, what can the United States learn from what they're doing in Norway?
Well, you know, one of the great things they do there is they use sports science to guide everything they're doing. Coach training, sharing of athletes from sport to sport. We tend to not do that in this country. I mean, sport is mostly designed by parents in a community who sign their kid up for a particular sport or otherwise, but they don't really know what true athletic development looks like, how to sync it up with quality child development ideas. And so we have very high attrition rates in this country. A lot of kids leave by the, you know, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. They decide, I'm not an athlete, and they check out. And that's a real flaw in our system because some of these kids are late bloomers. If you look at a lot of the professional athletes, they didn't grow into their bodies and their real talents. Johan Olaf Koss, the great speed skater, I talked to him the other day about this. He says, I was a late bloomer. I really didn't get good until I was 15 or 16 years old.
And I also saw an interview with the mother of Simen Hegstad Krüger, who won in the cross country, and she said that he was not good at 15 or 16. He became a good athlete after that. So he was just enjoying the skiing, and I think that is the key. And I would like to say we're not that good at summer sports.
I was gonna say, it was a little bit of a rough ride in Rio, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. But winter sports we are very good because it's our culture to be outside in the snow, and nature is always very nearby. I live downtown Oslo. I can get on a tram 15 minutes. I'll be cross-country skiing. So our culture is to go out on the Saturdays and Sundays and be out. Yeah. And if you enjoy that, you also get some good athletes, I think.
What a concept to have fun as a kid doing sports. Tom, Andreas, thanks so much for joining us. 10 gold medals awarded in 7 sports on day 13 here in Pyeongchang. So much more to talk about with our panel, and they will rejoin us right after this.